Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different.
A different hat.
Exactly. We're not just analysts today. For the next, 20 minutes or so, we are stepping into the role of the world's best CIMA tutors.
No pressure then.
None at all. We've got the course notes, blueprints, case studies, all for the E2 syllabus, and we are zeroing in on Chapter 2.
Alternative approaches to business models.
Our mission is to just crack the code on this.
You know, it sounds like such a dry topic on the surface, doesn't it? Business models. It's got that corporate buzzword bingo feel.
It really does.
But when you actually dig into these sources, you realize this isn't just about passing an exam. This is the operating manual for how any organization actually works.
Okay.
If you don't get the machinery we're talking about today, you just cannot manage performance. It really is that simple.
And that's the hook right there. This is the engine room. So let's set the stage. We're looking at a specific learning outcome here. We need to explain the elements of business models. But before we get into the weeds, give us the executive summary. When CIMA says business model, what do we need to lock in?
Well, it's really tempting to think a business model is just how we make money.
Right, the bottom line.
Yeah, and you see that a lot in bad management. They confuse the whole model with just the revenue stream. But the sources are very, very specific here.
Okay.
A business model is a story. It's the story of how an organization defines, creates, delivers, and captures value.
Defines, creates, delivers, captures. Okay, that's the mantra for this session.
It is, and the scope is huge. It covers your stakeholders, the people involved. It covers resources, what you have, activities, what you do, and then finally the financial architecture.
The costs and revenues.
Exactly.
The syllabus outcomes, they mention explaining value for each of those 4 stages. Why is value the anchor here? Why can't we just look at the P&L and call it a day?
Because the profit and loss statement is history. It's just a scorecard of what happened last year.
Ah, okay.
The business model, that's the future. It's the mechanics of how that value actually flows. Remember, the exam is called Managing Performance. You can't tune an engine if you don't know how the pistons connect to the drive shaft.
I love that.
If you don't understand the model, your KPIs, your key performance indicators, they're just measuring the wrong things. You'll be measuring speed when you should be measuring fuel efficiency.
P&L is history. Business model is the future. Love that. Okay, so let's pop the hood. We've got this 4-part cycle. Let's start with step 1, defining value. Now, this sounds a bit philosophical, but in the notes, it looks surprisingly political.
Oh, it's incredibly political. Because value is, well, it's subjective. It depends entirely on who you're asking.
Right.
You simply cannot define value without doing a deep stakeholder analysis. If you build the best product in the world, but it doesn't solve a problem for the person paying for it, you haven't created value. You've just created a hobby.
The sources mention a few frameworks for this. We're not just listing people. Most people have heard of the Mendeley matrix power and interest, the classic 2x2 grid.
Right. Mendeley is the standard. It tells you who to keep satisfied, who to manage closely. But for E2, and for a deeper understanding, the sources push us towards Mitchell, Agel, and Wood.
Okay, a bit more nuanced.
A lot more. They say you prioritize stakeholders based on 3 attributes: power, legitimacy, and urgency.
Let's break those down because this is where marks get lost. Power is straightforward, right? Can they force us to do something?
Exactly. Think of a court order winding up a company. That's power. Then you've got legitimacy.
Their rightful claim.
Do they have a rightful moral or legal claim to be involved?
Yeah.
A local community group has legitimacy, even if they don't have, direct power.
And the third one is the game changer, urgency.
Urgency implies time sensitivity. Does their claim call for immediate action? You could have a stakeholder with high power and high legitimacy, but if they aren't asking for anything right now,
They're dormant.
they are a dominant stakeholder, but they're sleeping. The moment they have an urgent issue, they become a definitive stakeholder, and you have to drop everything.
Okay, let's apply this so it sticks. We've got this case study in the source material, Reset, PC repairs. How does defining value look for them?
Perfect example. Look at their B2B customers, businesses bringing in broken servers. For them, value isn't just fixing a computer. The sources highlight that value is trust, reliability, and long-term support.
Ah, because of the sensitive data. Downtime is a killer. So value for them is essentially peace of mind.
Precisely. But now, flip it. Look at the suppliers for Reset. They're selling spare parts. For them, value isn't reliability. Value is selling difficult-to-move stock.
Getting liquidity.
Yes, the customer wants reliability. The supplier wants liquidity. The business model has to sit in the middle and satisfy both.
Which brings up this great concept in the notes. Satisficing.
I always love that word.
It sounds like a typo that became a theory.
It does, doesn't it? It's a mashup of satisfy and suffice. In the real world, you can't maximize value for everyone at the same time.
Right.
If you maximize profit for shareholders, you might squeeze employees. Give customers the lowest price, you might bankrupt suppliers. So you don't maximize, you satisfy. You keep most of the key stakeholders happy enough most of the time.
That's a very useful term. Okay, so we've defined value based on what stakeholders need. Now we have to actually make it real. Step 2, creating value.
Right. This is the engine room. This is where the internal work happens. The sources list 5 key elements to memorize here: partners, resources, processes, activities, and outputs.
And this is where I feel there's a trap. The distinction between a resource and a competence, it seems subtle.
But it's a major dividing line. This is a classic tutor tip. A resource is what you have. A competence is what you do well with what you have.
So you could have a high-tech oven. That's the resource.
But if you can't bake, you have no competence.
So having the asset isn't enough. You need the skill.
Exactly. In the exam or in a real board meeting, confusing those two is fatal. You can buy resources, you have to build competence. And this is also where the cost model sits. When we talk about creating value, we are talking about where costs happen. The efficiency of your processes, economies of scale, the price you pay for resources. All of that determines your cost base.
So for Reset, creating value is their technicians, their tools, the workshop.
Or that digital example, your future, the recruitment platform. Their creation phase is the code, the data matching algorithms.
Your future is a great example of process innovation.
It is. They use a web portal where employers input their own data. Now think about that from a cost perspective.
They've outsourced the data entry to the customer.
Yes, they shifted the work. That's a process change that creates value by lowering their cost. They're using their partners, the employers, as a resource in the creation process.
That's brilliant. It lowers their costs, but does the customer see it as value?
They do, because it gives them control and speed. No waiting for a clerk. So it's a win-win in that creation phase.
Which bridges us perfectly to step 3, delivering value. We've created the value in the kitchen, but it's useless if it just sits there.
Right. This is the market interface. Delivering value covers section 2.3 in the syllabus, customer segmentation and channels.
And the first rule is you can't sell everything to everyone. You have to segment.
Yep. Geography, lifestyle, behavior. But the channels part is where it gets really interesting now. A channel isn't just a delivery truck anymore.
No, and that's a key insight.
The channel is part of the value proposition. Go back to Reset. Initially, they're just a shop, but the source material mentions a shift to courier-based collection and walk-in repair desks.
So the courier service isn't just a logistic detail.
It's a value delivery mechanism.
Right.
If I'm a busy business owner, I don't have time to drive my server across town. A courier collecting it delivers the value of convenience. The repair itself might be the same, but the total value delivered drops if you add that friction for the customer.
This touches on that buzzword, omnichannel. We hear it everywhere. What does it actually mean here?
It just means a seamless experience across all those channels. If you research a product on your mobile but buy it in store, the data should match.
The channels have to be integrated.
Exactly. If Reset offers a repair status update on an app while your computer is physically in the shop, that's seamless delivery. The digital and physical channels are working together.
Got it. Okay, so define, create, deliver. Now for the part everyone waits for. Step 4, capturing value.
The show me the money phase.
But the sources are specific. It's not just revenue, it's an equation. Cost model, revenue model, and distribution of surplus.
Yes, let's break that down. The revenue model is your pricing strategy. The cost model comes from the create phase. But the really interesting part, the part that requires critical thinking, is the distribution of surplus.
This is the sharing part. You've made a profit. Who gets it?
The default answer is shareholders, but that's too simple. The government takes taxes, that's capturing value. Employees get bonuses, that's sharing value.
And the notes highlight a strategic tension here.
A critical one. It's a conflict, a trade-off. If you pay higher wages, sharing more value with employees, you reduce the immediate surplus for shareholders.
Which looks bad short term.
But better pay might attract top talent, which helps you create more innovative products in the next cycle.
So it's a feedback loop. If you get greedy in the capture phase and starve your employees or squeeze your suppliers, you might break the create phase for next year.
Exactly. If you capture too much value today, you might destroy your ability to create value tomorrow. That's why it's a cycle, not a straight line.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's zoom out. We've been talking about the business like it's a castle with a moat, but the sources have a whole section on the business ecosystem.
This is a crucial shift in modern thinking. A business model doesn't exist in a vacuum. You are part of a web.
Predators, prey, symbiosis.
Suppliers, producers, competitors, regulators.
Mm.
And the key concept here is orchestration. Who's conducting the music? In some ecosystems, you have tight orchestration. Think about the Apple App Store. Apple sets the rules, they take a cut. They are the leader. But other ecosystems are much looser.
And the sources use this amazing analogy. They compare ecosystems to a lion's pride versus a shark tank.
This is great for visualizing it. A Shark Tank ecosystem is one with high complexity and very loose orchestration.
Chaos.
Controlled chaos. Think of a frantic new market, like the early days of crypto. Everyone is fighting for dominance, no set rules. It's dangerous. You have to be aggressive. That's a Shark Tank.
Versus a lion's pride.
That would be high complexity but tight orchestration. There's a hierarchy. Everyone knows their place. It's more stable. But usually because there's a dominant king of the jungle keeping everyone in line.
That is a great way to visualize it. And within these ecosystems, the notes mention mutuality.
Mutuality is the idea that we're all in this together. We compete, sure, but we also collaborate to expand the total market.
So the pie gets bigger for everyone.
Exactly. It's not just about beating the competitor. It's about making sure the game keeps going.
Now we have to talk about disruption. The sources mention digital operating models and how they break these old rules.
Yeah, this is where we see the big shift. Technology just changes the economics of how we create and capture value.
We see terms like customer-centric, data-powered, extra-frugal. Let's contrast two of those. What's an extra-frugal model?
Think Ryanair. The extra-frugal model uses tech to optimize processes and strip out every single unnecessary cost. Their value capture is based on less is more. Efficiency is everything.
Contrast that with data-powered.
Google.Netflix. Their model is built entirely on analytics. They capture value by knowing more. They use data to refine the product in the create phase and target the user in the deliver phase.
So if you're in an exam or a strategy meeting, you need to ask, are we trying to be Ryanair or are we trying to be Google?
100%. Because the KPIs you set for them would be totally different. And that brings us right back to the so what of this whole deep dive.
Connect the dots for us. The business model to the KPIs.
If you don't know which part of the model you're testing, your KPIs are useless. If your model is extra frugal, your KPIs have to focus on cost per unit, efficiency ratios, turnaround time.
You're measuring the create and capture efficiency.
Yes. But if your model is data-powered,
you don't care as much about cost per unit.
No. You care about user engagement, data accuracy, algorithm effectiveness. You're measuring deliver and define effectiveness. The business model dictates the performance management.
That is the key takeaway. The model isn't just a description. It's the instruction manual for what to measure.
Precisely.
We've covered a lot of ground. The 4 steps, the ecosystem, Shark Tanks. Before we sign off, what are the common pitfalls? Where do students trip up?
2 big ones. First, confusing value. Creating value with delivering value.
Right.
Remember, creating is internal. The chef cooking the meal. Delivering is external. The waiter bringing it to the table.
Don't mix them up.
Don't mix them up. The second is forgetting that value is defined by the receiver. Companies think they define value. We made this great widget. We worked so hard it must have value. No. If the stakeholder doesn't perceive value, you have created 0 value. It doesn't matter how hard you worked.
That is a humbling thought for any product manager.
It is.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. We talked about extra frugal versus data-powered.
Yes. I'd ask you to look at your own organization and ask a hard question about that strategic tension we discussed.
Okay.
Look at the share the surplus part of your company. Are you capturing value through efficiency squeezing the lemon like an extra frugal model, or through innovation and data?
And the kicker.
Does your bonus structure, your personal share of the surplus, align with that? If your company claims to be data-powered and innovative, but your bonus is based strictly on cost-cutting, you have a broken model. You are incentivizing the wrong behavior.
That is exactly the kind of insight that helps you diagnose a failing strategy in the real world.
And it gets you the pass in CIMA E2.
Ideally both. Thank you so much for breaking this down. I feel like I can finally see the gears turning.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating topic once you see the machinery.
To everyone listening, next time you walk into a shop or log onto a website, try to spot the 4 steps. Define, create, deliver, capture. It changes how you see the world. Thanks for diving depth with us.